Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from Skiessentials.com. Welcome to our 2025 ski test. Today we're talking about this Fischer Ranger 108. Pretty big ski. I find that the 108 has quite a different personality than the 102. That 102 feels pretty darn quick and agile to me, especially in like really technical zones. This, for me at least, feels a little bit more like a big mountain ski. Loves open spaces, loves high speed, loves big radius turns and just like big sweeping arcs and stuff like that. And yeah, if that sounds like you'll probably love it. Generally, in my experience on the Ranger 108, I do like it more in like those western scenarios, that open terrain like I'm talking about. I don't find it to be the quickest ski in the tight Vermont trees that we have. I prefer the 102 in that sense. I don't know why. It's probably some edge-to-edge quickness, but yeah, it's nice to have them both because they do feel like very different skis to me. That said, the recipe is basically the same. So a poplar and beechwood core in this ski, same shaped TI laminate. In this 108, it's quite short. You know, it's just from one thumb to the other there. It does still kind of get those wing extensions like all the narrower Rangers, but they're pretty blunt here. And then as you go wider, we also get a bigger flex cut. So although the metal is lesser than in the narrower skis, I do feel like this ski is pretty substantial. It truly does have kind of that big, strong, capable big mountain vibe. Putting it on the scale here, I think this is a good reflection of what I'm talking about. This is only a 171 centimeter length, and we're at 1,950 grams. So it's not light by any means. There are definitely skis in this category that feel lighter on your feet that in turn become more flickable. For me, this ski, what it does best is how it just absorbs anything in front of it. So if you're like just pointing your skis down the fall line and you've got some bumpy terrain in front of you, the Ranger 108 just like literally eats it right up. And I think a part of the reason for that is it's not jarringly stiff. It's still stiff enough that it's supportive and stable at speed and you can trust it. But having this little bit of flex combined with that metal gives it sort of like suspension. You know, it kind of like that vibration damping goes as far as feeling like it's like downhill mountain bike suspension or something like that. And maybe that's a good analogy. Like if you've ridden a downhill mountain bike, you know that they can go straight and just go over anything. And you also know that they're not as agile as your trail bike. And I think that's a really good way to think about this Ranger 108 is, yeah, it can plow over just about anything, but there are definitely going to be skis out there that feel quicker and more agile, more responsive, so to speak. Taking a look at shape here, this ski, to me, I guess it kind of starts with the 102, but the 108 here really does start to feel like a big mountain or powder specific ski. There is still camber underfoot, but there's really not much, and even like the camber height is lower than if we compared to like the 102 or particularly the 96. And then the length of tail rocker starts to lengthen considerably or noticeably. Extended tail rocker, we'll say. And the same is true in the shovel here. It's maybe not as noticeable if you put this back to back with the 102. They're fairly similar, but just the overall shape of this ski to me just kind of screams soft snow. I like the amount of early taper in it, but as you can see, it's like not drastic. It's not like a DPS shape or anything like that. If anything, it just kind of stays straight right through here. And I think that's, to be honest, a pretty big reason why it likes to go straight. And that's often the feedback that we get. That's been my experience on it, is especially in like the longer lengths. I think the length that I skied last time I got on this ski was the 185. Forgive me if I'm off by a centimeter or two. And that's a lot of ski for me. 108 underfoot, some metal in there, reasonably heavy weight. That length, it starts to become a lot to manage here in Vermont, but there's a benefit for sure. Like the trail that comes to mind for me here in Stowe is Hayride. It's nice and wide. And it has some kind of tiers to it, but overall it's very steep. And on a trail like that, the Ranger 108 can absolutely rip, and you just let it run, and it makes these super, super cool high edge angle turns. And like if I lived out west or skied out west often, I would love a ski like this, say for Mammoth or Whistler or some place with those big open expansive areas where you can really just let the ski run. Even Alta, when I go ski Alta, people often talk about how tight the trees are. They'll be like, oh, we're going over here to something nest or whatever. Just be aware, it's like tight trees. And then I get in there and I'm like, this isn't very tight at all. So I think in an area like that, it's just fine. I think like the challenge for a lot of skiers is when you're applying it to trees like we have here in Vermont. And then I think it can be a little bit, I guess, just a little bit fatiguing. But yeah, I think it's awesome. Like you can get this ski and just go charge at your local resort, and that's what it's for. And I think like there are other skis out there that if you want something super, super agile or super surfy or whatever, there are other options. So that is it. That is the Fischer Ranger 108. Great ski. I challenge you to find a limit to its potential at speed. So we'll just leave it there. Let us know if you have any questions, and we will see you out there on the slopes.